Hi, Rick. Good to see you. Thanks for making some time in what I can only imagine is a very busy day today for us.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Great to be with you.
I want to start off and just ask, as a news organization, in particular in your capacity as an organizer, what objective you set out to meet with this debate and whether you think you met it.
This was all about the viewers and the voters. We were looking to facilitate a conversation between the two individuals who are running for president, their party nominees, to try to create a way for them to tell the American people how they feel, what they feel, and engage and interact directly with each other. It's a simple mission, but it's also a pretty profound one. And I think we took the responsibility very seriously, and that meant just putting information out there and putting questions out there that would provoke conversation and direct exchange between the candidates.
Do you think the result was profound?
I think we got a lot out of it as a news organization, and I hope the country got a lot out of it with the viewers. A lot of people watched it, tens of millions, and in a close election, you never know what that ultimately means. I think the candidates, had an opportunity for 90 minutes to directly state their case and to contrast the visions. That's what a debate does, unlike a convention or a piece of paid advertising. It's that contrast. It's the way that they position their ideas versus someone else's that plays out on stage.
The Trump campaign is accusing the moderators in your organization of essentially ganging up on their candidate. They keep using the line, it was 3 against 1. Can I get your response to those accusations?
Well, look, I think the moderators had put a very fair conversation on the table between the two candidates. Trump ended up speaking for about 5 minutes longer than Vice President Harris. So he had more chances actually, to state his case vis-a-vis Harris. Our moderators did step in a few times to clarify statements of fact. They were pretty egregious misstatements in our judgment, including an unfounded claim that undocumented immigrants are eating people's pets, and that states are allowing babies to be executed after they're born, and the false claim that Trump sometimes makes about having won the election when he actually lost it. I think in those cases, if you watch what happened, our moderators were very direct in just stating the fact and moving on. It was not about signaling anything beyond that. It was just about delivering to the public truthful information and facts.
And was there a discussion? I had read this interview you did with the New York Times where you sort of everyone kept asking, how are you going to fact check? How much are you going to fact check? And you didn't necessarily put any initial parameters on it. You said, I don't think it's a yes or no proposition. We're not making a commitment to fact check everything or fact check nothing. Was it an of the moment kind of decision by the moderators? And was their assessment essentially in that moment that those facts that they ended up checking were just so egregious that it was necessary?
Exactly right. Look, it's a judgment call, like anything you do in a debate. You're in the live moment. Ultimately, it was up to the moderators, David Muir and Lindsey Davis, to make the decision. Is this something that rises to the level? Is this something that is so clearly false or needs correcting or needs clarification that you do it? We didn't make any kind of blanket judgment. Again, I thought about this more about the facts than about any kind of formal fact check. I think anyone that has watched live television recognizes that if someone says a lot of things, that some of them are true, some of them are untrue, you can't ever catch up and catch everything. And often the truth is somewhere in between. And it's politicians make misleading statements all the time. But when there's a matter of fact that can be clarified, our moderators felt it was appropriate in a few occasions. There weren't many over the course of 90 minutes, in a few occasions, to say this is what the fact is, and then we moved on.
Leaning on your sort of expertise covering politics, and in particular this race, how do you think this debate will inform the race going forward?
Well, I think two things. One is a lot of people thought that debates didn't matter anymore, and then we had the debate that led to the exit of Joe Biden back in June. The other thing I'd mention is that for as well known as these political figures may seem, almost a third of Americans said in the recent New York Times poll they don't know enough about Kamala Harris to make a judgment about whether to vote for her or not. Not the same challenge for Donald Trump. People have a more firm sense of who he is and what he would do as president for a second time. But for Harris, at least, and for a matchup that's still pretty fresh in people's minds. We've only had Harris in the race for about, 6-8 weeks or something. So I do think that in terms of laying it out there, this is the first debate between the two of them. It could end up being the only debate as well.
Do you think, just one more question for you, on the last point you made around the unknown factor when it comes to Harris, Do you think that her performance last night will lead to more engagement with the media? The criticism had essentially in the lead up being that she had done a lot of scripted stuff, far less unscripted stuff, only one interview. Do you think because of the way in which her performance is being perceived last night that that will change the trajectory of that issue?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where the campaign strategy is on this. I do know that they looked to a first interview that they did a few weeks ago, and then this debate is kind of tentpole moments. And now that they're on the other side of them and the other side of the convention, I would expect any campaign would do a little more engagement. But they'll do what's right for them. I'm grateful that both candidates and both campaigns showed up at the debate, had that good, solid exchange, and that a lot of people watched.
Okay, Rick, I'll leave it there. Really appreciate your insights today. Thanks a lot.
My pleasure. Thanks so much.